Actually, I very much hate that mentality. Like, as a creator, if I kept seeing people saying, oh, it's underrated, talk about it, make tweets, make videos. If you want the show to succeed, talk about it. Animation costs money. A very controversial statement indeed. Every little drawing and background you see on screen is made by a flesh and blood human being. Well, when it's not being made by a flesh and steel computer. Pesky ideas like money and having to eat food means if you want to produce independently online, you have to spend a lot of money. Unless you want to do everything yourself, but that's a different sort of hell. Helpful Boss. This is why a lot of high quality series come out on a regular-ish basis. You know, Glitch Productions and Helpful Boss. Because they have a constant stream of income and are able to continually pay their employees. But today's subject, Monkey Wrench, isn't like them. It may be leading down a hole that's hard to get out of. Hello, I'm Ryan. And to prepare for this video, make sure you have your calculator, Apple Pencil, and vape pen, because we're going to be talking about finances. For a project like animation, you get some money to pay people in order to help you finish it. Unless this is a hobby or passion project, you probably want money in return for producing it. While recuperating your losses is a good thing, one would prefer we make a profit from it. Ideally, twice the cost. For movies, you have the film budget plus advertising, which is sometimes 1/2 or double, so you need to earn a lot more for it to be considered a net gain. Producing indie stuff online does give you a return on investment, as when you upload on YouTube, you get paid with AdSense. This has to do with watch time, aka theory retention. When you first upload, the video will do well, and sometimes the video can pop off a second time after it releases. But most of the time it just fizzles out at a set number of days. However, in order to make a certain profit for the animation, you either have to spend not a lot of money, have a Patreon, or another way to sell the animation after the fact, which we'll get into soon. For Monkey Wrench Episode 1, Zeurel or Joshua Palmer spent 68,000 USD on it. You see, for all the hard work him and his team put into it, YouTube doesn't care. It paid him the normalish amount for a 27-minute video. In fact, for a lot of animations like this, it will take time to turn a profit. But before we get into that, what is the show about?
The series follows the misadventures of cut-rate mercenary duo Shrike and Beebs as they cruise the galaxy in search of decent-paying contracts.
You get a nice affair of space, aliens, and space aliens in its action comedy. Dynamic camera angles, hand-drawn non-rigged animation, and good voice acting, it is a nice series to behold. And you may have seen Zeurel's content before, either in his Vines as Joel animations, Lethero, or even Swoozy's storytime animations. So for the series, you know you're in for a good visual treat. However, much like Ice Cream, Monkey Wrench had a rocky road start and current now. That doesn't make sense. The first 2 episodes would be released on his main channel before being put on a second one. The first release would see the episodes getting over 1 million and 500,000 views. Upon re-release, they would get about 500,000 and 200,000 respectively. He wanted a dedicated channel for the show since it's less chaotic to start a new one, rather than competing with the random stuff on his main one. As of this video, episode 3 will be out, and the famed 4th episode is currently in production, mainly recording voice actors. February 1st, 2024, Zeurel released a statement on Twitter about the state of the next episode. You can also post this on YouTube and Patreon, but it's the same thing everywhere. So buckle up and put down your drawing tablet pen for a second, because we're about to go into my favorite subject, numbers. The team's hopes that they would hit 500k views in 2 weeks, however after a month, they would still under 470k. They only gained about 1300 USD from the episode, but in positive news, they gained 11,300 subs, and Patreon supports grew by 1/4 since the episode came out, meaning they earn about 5,000 a month to produce a series. To go into the animation, they have a rough pay rate of about 20.83 USD a second of animation. There was this whole thing in 2023 that was like, Hazard Hotel pays people terribly, and then people found out how much Monkey Wrench was paying people. But don't worry, it got quickly resolved, and this wasn't a malicious thing. They just didn't know at the time. Nevertheless, the 3rd episode would cost him 54,200 USD. Not as much as the 1st episode, but still quite a lot of money. To put this in perspective, as Zeurel wanted to make back his production costs for episode 3, the cartoon alone had to be viewed 25 million times, minimum. So what does it mean for episode 4, and how much will it cost? Well, he's had thoughts about this before. July 19, 2023, he commented on the cost of episode 3. Originally, he thought it would cost upwards of 75,000 USD and take around 2 years to make, first considering making a polished webcomic.
It sucks, but my ambition for this series vastly outweighs my resources, and I'm not gonna lie, seeing how little attention it gets after pouring so much money, time, and effort into it has led me recently into some seriously bad depression.
Luckily, he would find the funding, and episode 3 would be made. But going back into the Google Doc of episode 4, he said there are 2 routes you can take. The first would be an animatic hybrid, basically mean he'd draw the keyframes, go full animation for the good bits. The other would be doing a Kickstarter. Now this is risky as he mentioned. What would the rewards be, and would there be enough interest in doing so? As investing in rewards means cutting away from the production, meaning whatever the goal is, you have to spend a bit more money to actually recuperate the losses. Oh, just like making a movie. I mentioned about interest, as the episode he wants to make would cost around 100,000 USD in animation alone. Could he raise that money? Oh, very much so. With the dedicated audience he has, I would no doubt think he could do that. In the past, Zeurel would have plush campaigns for his characters in order to help fund for the show. But is this a worthwhile investment? Monkey Wrench, as per the vision Zeurel wants to execute, is a very expensive series, and would be hard to earn a net gain with all they invested. Though that isn't to say you can't eventually turn a profit. Glitch Productions, an offshoot of SMG4, only recently started to earn a gain on the sister channel, from the series on YouTube itself, as well as merch. The reason SMG4 was able to invest into another channel like Glitch was because of the main one. Oh, SMG4 is the main one, just to be clear. Having a constant avenue of revenue by posting simple animations, yet still pretty long, means they have capital to spend. As for Helpful Boss, Pop Show, it shares the same method as Zeurel. They use a Patreon as well as merch. I mean, like lots of merch. So much so that they have their own little series with the animator getting hijinks. It's kind of funny. And it's not animated, which means they're saving a lot more money. One of the hard things when it comes to producing animation online is how fast you can get outside product, paying workers properly, and earning enough for this to be a consistent job. That's why I mentioned before the difference between a passion project and something that can earn money. Not that you can't have both, but it is incredibly hard. However, when I see projects like this, I think about what it means to create an online space. We're in an age of cancellations and TV shows and movies, where one can make an entire film and CEO decides, nah, fuck you. This causes a lot of work to never be seen, and sometimes investigated by the United States government. But for online animation, it's very different. It's rather not a corporation that leads a project being canceled. Oftentimes, it's budgetary or passion issues. Working on a project for so long, the price is too much, or the love of the show you worked on wanes over said years, either from the creator not seeing the yields or returns from new viewership, or fans just walking away.
Gotta love the fine print. They never specified which of their debts to cancel. Now, let's hope the boss doesn't cancel us.
Zeurel made a tweet about indie animation. Okay, he made a lot of them, but we're just gonna focus on this one for a second. Okay? In it, he says that indie games have a better opportunity to make up the cost of developments to people buying it to experience it. 9 times out of 10, you'll never make back the cost of an indie show unless you're super lucky. This is because when the product is finished, you just view it on YouTube for free. It's only with Patrons and shirts where you earn some of the money back. However, there's a small way to earn just a bit more with what you already have. An idea would be Gumroad. It's a great place to sell digital goods, anything from PDFs, music, to even videos. To look back at films for a second, a lot of them failed at the box office, however corporations found a way to recuperate the losses. Matt Damon and Hot Ones explained that DVD sales help failed movies, essentially giving it a second wind. One of my favorite things about DVDs was the extras he had on it. Cut content, behind the scenes, and especially director's commentary. Zeurel could do something like this for a show. Of the 3 episodes made, you have enough for separate director's commentaries. Maybe editing a short behind the scenes video, maybe a little animatic here for cutscenes, or alternate takes of the scenes with an animatic for them. I mean, he did do that for YouTube video, but this is a one-time thing, specifically for stuff he hasn't used yet. Selling this as a package zip file per episode, and then an all-in-one bundle for a total discount, you can make some extra money here and there, because not everyone wants to pay a consistent amount for ongoing Patreon, and I would think of this akin to as a one-time fee kind of thing. The fear of pirating is an issue, but I mean, people re-uploaded Helva Boss to Kim Cartoon. It's free on YouTube already, why'd they do that? There's also the possibility of redubbing the entire series in a few languages. I talked about this before in my video about the Amazing Digital Circus, but thanks to it having, well, a lot of different languages, it was able to be seen by a lot more people. And thanks to YouTube's new system, just replacing the audio track, you don't have to make a new video. But of course, it still will cost money. Now, as for budgets, the difficult thing when it comes to talking about production of an animation is trying not to change or dismantle the director's vision. As with indie works, the artist is at the forefront of producing. However, when animation costs are this high and viewership this low, it's hard to dismiss the growing concerns of longevity in producing. At the very least, the way they are now. Alright, to be clear, 500,000 views and 1 million views is very good. It's just, YouTube doesn't give a lot of money for it. Whenever I speak with artists about their potential projects, the hardest thing to talk about is because of the money aspect. And I have talked with artists about cutting out a script in order to save money, especially since sometimes scenes don't move the plot forward, but that's another story. Another thing I talk about is if the series can become profitable, and a big part of that is getting people to know about it. I'd seen a video asking why people aren't watching Monkey Wrench, but I know why. Marketing. At the start of the video, I mentioned that films have to make back their budget as well as the marketing. Perhaps the reason why a majority of people don't know about Monkey Wrench is the lack thereof. Going back to the budget breakdown for this episode, there doesn't seem to be a section for advertising. Having a small portion of the budget dedicated to it and knowing ways to get the word out is just as important as Patreon and shirt sales. Some free things you can do would be using your own channel to promote it. Community tabs, mentioning the end or middle of videos, and even the banner. Just like how I'm promoting my animated series, which is a talk show called Bad Take Delete. Go check it out. Alright, back to the video. Glitch Productions uses his sister channel SMG4 to heavily promote their series amongst other revenues. I may have missed it or maybe he deleted it, but I didn't see a community post in Zeurel's main channel talking about the release of episode 3. And I don't mean a trailer, I mean a literal community post saying, go check out this video. It just released. But he does do a healthy job promoting it otherwise on his main channel. You know, the other channel being on the homepage and such. But I would fix the banner as you can barely see the characters and maybe throw in the name right there. And the next factor is friends. Part of having YouTubers voice in animations is the fact that they can help promote it. Either in quote sharing the promo post in the community tab or retweeting on Twitter, as well as other social medias. videos, and commenting on the episode all helps in the long run. One could go further with advertising in videos. Either as a paid ad spot or friendly handshake, Zeurel's friends could promote his works in their videos leading up to the release. This would get a new set of eyes on the series. Monkey Wrench would get a shout out by the largest solo cartoon reviewer on YouTube, Saberspark, whom in a video releasing back in January 2024 would briefly talk about it. There's actually a new segment in his videos where he wants to spotlight indie creators. Nice. There's also Google Ads that can show off the series to more people. For Rasmus Hotel, they sent out review copies. And even if people didn't like the show, it's still people talking about it. The reason why we basically see 3 shows only being talked about in the indie space, especially on YouTube, is because of a self-serving cycle. Most YouTubers don't want to take a risk in making that dedicated video on something new unless they can find an angle to work with about it, or unless there's a controversy. This is why most YouTubers are just making videos about Hazard Hotel, Helpful Boss, or even Amazing Digital Circus. Because people aren't talking about Monkey Wrench, it becomes algorithmically not good to talk about. For them to invest time and resources into an idea that maybe will make them views is something people don't want to test out. If those are previous advertising push behind the product, it could incentivize YouTubers and people on social media to talk about the show, essentially making a self-serving cycle of people talking about the show. This is why you're more than likely going to see people talking about it in other videos than dedicated ones, because it is a much safer thing to do. Marketing is a dirty word when it comes to art, but the main reason why a lot of projects aren't talked about is because of the lack of advertising from the creator's end. To talk about art while separating money is easy in a vacuum, but in practice is strenuous. As for a creator to not want to sacrifice your vision while also completing your story and having the budget to do so, it's kind of like one of those things you're going to only choose 2 out of 3, especially when factoring in the cost of advertising. To get a better perspective on the average consumer, I asked my audience what they thought of the show, or if they had seen it.
To be honest, underrated and needs more attention. Very funny and great laughs. Episode 3 is my favorite so far.
This series is highly underrated. It deserves more attention and funding, because the story deserves to be told. It's crazy to me how good the show is and how unknown it is. I don't understand why. It's got great characters, wonderful voice actors, and animation like no other.
Of course, these are just snippets, but if you look at the rest of the comments, they share the same mentality. I love the show, I just wish more people knew about it. Actually, I very much hate that mentality. Like, as a creator, if I kept seeing people saying, oh, it's underrated, talk about it, make tweets, make videos. If you want the show to succeed, fucking talk about it. In an ideal world, Monkey Wrench and projects like it would get the funding and attention they need. Okay, if you live in Canada and Australia, you can get like a film grant, but I'm not gonna go more into that in this video. Monkey Wrench is Zeurel's first major project, and it is an ambitious one. Having around 30-ish minute episodes is nice eye candy, but devastating when there is an audience to appreciate all the hard work that went into the show. The advice for artists to always start off small are for cases like this, as investing a lot into a project of a similar scale won't automatically yield the results that you wanted, especially when it's hard to find or not as talked about in the public sphere. I hope that Zeurel is able to finish the story even if it takes a bit of time, however not at the expense of his bank account or even his mental state. Being an animated comic, or anything of the sort, I want him to tell the story he wants to tell. With the next episode possibly costing around 100,000 USD, I hope he's able to find a way to do so. As of now, if they're able to break 10k a month on Patreon, they'd be able to go back to fully animated episodes, and hopefully with enough advertising, gives the attention it deserves.
Ooh, that's at least 3 more El Bandito episodes. Well, unless, you want to show me some more guitar stuff?
After this job is over, go on, put another one on.
Whoa, you monkey wrenched it to the end of this video. If you loved it, leave a like and subscribe, and check out one of these videos. That one? That one, maybe? But you can't stay here, actually. You gotta choose one of them now.